It's good to see you.
So we were
Yes.
Puerto Rico.
Well, it was good because
You want him to be? I know, exactly. You can lie to me.
he's going to be nice in person. I think I think that's the more influence him. I don't know.
What your reason? That's great. It's good to know that. Yeah, you guys can take your seat. Just so you know, the microphone is hot.
Thanks for telling us. Particular order you want us in, or just
It's a great question. I was just parking.
That's so right.
Watch out for the live stream. Skip over here. Sorry.
Excited you guys are here today, and gosh, we just couldn't be more folks, because this is pretty spectacular. I hope you'll stay around and join us for a happy hour after we have this really important discussion. So this is the first ever, we've been around 11 years at the San Antonio Report. This is our 5th year to host City Fest. And City Fest is a week-long ideas festival where this year the theme is Meet the Moment. And we are looking at various inflection points across Bexar County that are really important in diving into those with leaders, change makers, our journalists are moderating all the discussions. And again, this year's theme is Meet the Moment. And one day we were sitting around the office and said, wow, we've never been able to do a sports panel because that's not what we cover, but if there's ever a year that we want to talk about meeting the moment in sports, and we're super, again, grateful for all you being here. We have a ton of people joining us online, and I know they're excited to hear from our panelists. And I will hand it over to our editor-in-chief, Lee Munsell, to get us started.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Angie. And thank you all for being here, and those of you who joined virtually for this conversation about a pivotal moment in San Antonio sports. I think all of our panelists would agree that this is a pivotal moment in San Antonio sports, and we'll get into the reasons why. The San Antonio sports landscape has changed dramatically in recent months. Back in May, UTSA was preparing to make the jump from Conference USA to the American Athletic Conference. The San Antonio Missions were a month into their first season under new local ownership. The Spurs were in the final stages of work on their 90,000 square foot practice facility near La Cantera, but they were out of the playoffs. Then an assortment of happenings changed everything, and the arrival of a 7'4" French teenager has the eyes of the sports world on San Antonio. Any one of these developments on its own would be a big deal, but taken together, many would agree that our local sports are having a moment, and that kind of buzz has a very real impact on tourism and the economy as well as the fans. Our panelists today are the perfect group of people to explain why. So please join me in welcoming our panelists. We have Bobby Perez, the Chief Legal Officer and General Counsel of Spurs Sports and Entertainment. We have Lisa Campos, the Vice President for Intercollegiate Athletics at UTSA. Bob Cohen, who is an ownership partner with the Missions Baseball organization. And we have Jenny Carnes, President and CEO of San Antonio Sports. And I actually want to kick off with you, Lisa. The Roadrunners are in a new conference this season, and Jeff Traylor's team just became bowl eligible for the 4th consecutive season with Saturday's win over North Texas. Being in the new conference brings additional TV revenue and exposure, but also the necessity of more spending to remain competitive. Can you talk about the benefits and challenges in UTSA's membership in the American Athletic Conference?
Absolutely. I don't know if I need to move this or people can
move it a
hear.
little bit, yeah.
But yeah, thank you, first of all, for having us and picking this topic that is obviously near and dear to all of us. But yeah, so this move into the American really started a couple of years ago, and it was right place, right time, but also all of the work we had done leading up to this. Just as a reminder, our football program is only in its 13th season. We are very young, competing against programs that have been, around for 100 plus years. But the American Athletic Conference and its membership saw something really special in UTSA, in San Antonio, what we were doing, what our vision is moving forward. And so it was an incredible opportunity for us to move into this conference. And as you mentioned, it provides us great media exposure, national media exposure. Last year alone, our total audience was 5.5 billion just in athletics alone. And so that is why we moved into the American, was to continue providing UTSA, San Antonio, national recognition, brand identity And to your point, it will. It comes with some opportunity, right? We will continue to grow all of our programs, build our facilities, and again, we're competing with schools who have been in the American for many years, who've had football for many years. But it's an opportunity that I know San Antonio is really ready to embrace.
Great, thank you. We'll go to Bob. The group you're a part of is closing on its first full year of ownership of the San Antonio Missions. Can you tell us what that experience has been like and some of the investments you've made in the franchise and the ballpark?
Sure. It was about a year ago next week that we closed on our acquisition of the Missions. And just to give a little background, thank you. Just to give a little background, we put together a group of civic leaders, business leaders, political leaders, some athletes, and teamed with a best-in-class operator in Ryan Sanders Baseball to acquire the Missions to ensure that the club was here and affiliated professional baseball had a future in San Antonio for generations to come. Center to that, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is our goal and our vision to get a new ballpark. But the club is under local ownership for the first time since the 80s, so that's a really big deal. It's been a long time. Since we got into ownership right before Thanksgiving, we really had half of a traditional off-season to work on things. And the first thing we had to do was do some immediate triage to Wolf Stadium just to get it to a place where we felt like we would be ready to go for the season. Couldn't do everything we wanted to do and didn't do everything that is required of us by MLB, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a moment. But we put some investments into the ballpark, like we replaced the entire field, replaced all the drainage. Wolf Stadium hadn't been painted since 2007. We painted it, we skinned all of the facilities around the ballpark with a new graphics package, did some landscaping, cleaned up the parking lot, put in a couple of bars, put some drink rails in, and fixed drainage so that it wouldn't run through the dugout and into the concession stands. So that, like I say, it was immediate. It was triage. It was what can we do to get ready to give the fans as much of a great experience as we could, and to do what we could get our hands around to satisfy the parent club, the San Diego Padres, and Major League Baseball, and get ready for our first season with a couple of months to go.
Great. Thank you. Jenny, it's a little ways out yet, but for college basketball fans, it's not too early to be excited for the 2025 men's Final Four here. You're an experienced hand at helping organize both men's and women's Final Fours. What can you tell us about what to expect this time around? I would also ask, I know the completion of Phase 1 of Civic Park and delays in Phase 2 have affected your plans, so could you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I'll just start with 2025. Hi, everybody. We are really excited to bring the men's Final Four back here for the 5th time, and college basketball just tipped off this week, so March Madness is a little bit in the air. San Antonio is a fan favorite city for the Final Four. We've proven it over and over again. So we're looking forward to starting that planning process. We're about to bring on a whole new staff to prepare for 2025. I think we're 514 days out from that. 2018 was the last time we hosted, and we saw an economic impact for the city of San Antonio at $185 million. And so in 2025, we anticipate that number being around $220 million and generating over 40,000 room nights for the city of San Antonio, $60 million in room night revenue that in turn brings a lot of hotel tax revenue to the city and the county and everything that we're all trying to do collectively. So we're thrilled to have the NCAA back. We are also hosting the Women's Final Four again in 2029. We've been watching the park project closely. Obviously, that's a big component to the Final Four weekend. In addition to those 3 little games that happen in the Alamo Dome, there's a ton that happens outside of the basketball itself in terms of fan events. And we put on a big music festival that weekend that in 2018 was at Hemisphere Park. So we're gonna adjust a little bit. We're working closely with the city already and what that looks like in a smaller footprint, but we're gonna make it happen. The best thing about San Antonio and why this event continues to come back here is because we are a walkable city. Our footprint makes everything so perfect for that weekend. Nobody has to get on a bus, nobody has to rent a car, so we want to keep all of our events downtown and close.
Wonderful, thank you. Bobby, I intentionally saved you for last because there's obviously so much going on with the Spurs. We'll get more into Wembanyama in a moment, but can you start us off by talking about The Rock and the naming rights partnership with Frost Bank that's new this season?
Of course, and first, on behalf of San Antonio Spurs and our organization, welcome to the Frost Center. We just opened that up and named it not recently, so thank you for being here. And I will invite you this weekend. We're opening up the Frost Plaza at the Rock at La Cantera, which is now the Victory Capital Performance Center. Exciting times for us as an organization. So we ended last year with our first USL championship, San Antonio FC, that is housed at Toyota Field. And as was pointed out, started the end of the year with some pretty exciting news, but just recently opened up the Rock at La Cantera. It is a 130,000 square foot NBA practice facility that is part of a 50-acre development in partnership with Bear County, the City of San Antonio, UT Health Science Center, UTSA, Southwest Research Institute. So we're really excited about it. And I invite everybody to just get a chance to go out and watch a basketball game on Sunday evening at the outdoor plaza and enjoy that part of San Antonio. It's pretty cool.
Great. The Spurs organization was looking to expand its fan base regionally even before winning the #1 draft pick in the NBA lottery, and getting Victor Wembanyama obviously made that job easier. But let's talk about the Wemby effect. For the season opener, the Spurs issued credentials to a record number of international journalists, 20 plus from half a dozen countries. The game averaged nearly 3 million viewers on ESPN, the most watched NBA season opener on the network since 2018. Can you give us a sense from where you sit about what Wemby's arrival has meant to the Spurs?
Just a tremendous amount of fun. And so if you haven't had a chance to tune in, please do. But I think every home event has been a playoff-like atmosphere. The fandom has increased, not only here in San Antonio, but I would say in our regional market. And as you point that out, our effort is to try to make sure we're regionalizing our brand from Mexico to up and down I-35 to Austin, Texas. We'll play 2 games in Austin in March of next year. And so it's been a fantastic time and opportunity. So we're certainly looking forward to it, is watching Victor grow, watching the team grow, and hoping for some success.
I'd like to get the rest of you in on, Jenny, we'll start with you. How do each of you capitalize on the attention that's happening right now for San Antonio as a sports town? What does that mean to each of your organizations? Obviously, Wemby is one player and there's a lot going on, but do you feel like this is a moment for San Antonio sports?
It certainly is a moment. And first of all, I'd like to say I'm honored to sit up here with 3 great partners of our organization. And if you're not familiar with San Antonio sports, our mission is to transform this community through the power of sport. And next year is a big moment for us, where we will be celebrating our 40th anniversary. So could not be a better time to have all of this excitement generated around what's going on with the Spurs, around what's going on with the Missions, and of course UTSA football. We look forward to growing what we are doing beyond NCAA championships, and how we do that with these partners and other partners in the city. We look forward to capitalizing on our big moment. But yeah, we love the fun and the excitement in the community right now. We feel that even with the partners that we work with outside of the city, nationally and internationally. We work with a group in France on a major international cycling event, and we had a call with them the other day, and that was part of the topic of conversation, of course, was Wemby's debut here in San Antonio.
Bob, are you seeing excitement with the Missions with the new local ownership?
Absolutely. I think that the thing to know about minor league baseball is that this is the biggest market in the minor leagues, and we put together a group that was not fixated on geeking out on owning a minor league baseball team. It was really more about what can we do to be transformative for the city, and getting the ball club under local ownership was key to our vision of putting a best-in-class, first-class facility in place that is worthy of San Antonio and that can vault us to the top of the chart, because we really, at least in AA ball, which is what the Missions are right now, we really are in the oldest building. It was built at a time when requirements weren't the same. Nobody's fault. It was a different era. So our vision is really to be top drawer and be one of the best model franchises in minor league sports. And when you look around our state, you look at look at the ballparks in Amarillo, look at the ballparks in Frisco, Corpus Christi, Sugar Land, Round Rock, Midland, El Paso. These are all markets that have much better facilities than the Missions have been able to play in for a long time, and nobody should be comfortable with that. So our group is fixated on doing the best thing we can to do what's right for San Antonio and getting a facility in place and positioning our franchise at the top of the heap. And so we are seeing a lot of excitement about it. I was at the ballpark a lot this summer. People kept coming up to us and saying how glad they were that we were there. They see us at the ballpark. It's fun having Ryan Sanders baseball a part of it. There's some people there that really know what's going on. We can talk about that in a moment, but there's a lot of excitement around Missions baseball.
Thank you. Lisa, when we're talking about ripple effects from sports success, what has changed about the way UTSA is viewed as a result of the football team's success, and does it have a direct impact on alumni support and enrollment?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously what's great for San Antonio is great for UTSA and vice versa. And to be a sports city, right? San Antonio is a sports city. That's great for UTSA, not just UTSA athletics, but for the whole institution. And to your point, with the success of football, and this is what we talk about, it just provides that national brand. And our aspirational vision is really to transform lives as San Antonio's nationally ranked Division I NCAA program, right? And that's aspirational. We're getting there. We've been in national rankings in various sports. But the success, people recognize San Antonio from our recruits, our student athletes, to just the general student who's coming to UTSA. They know about San Antonio because of the Spurs, because of the Missions, because of the Final Fours, and now because of UTSA football. And so all of that just helps collectively, not just our sports programs, but our entire institution. So the more success all of us are having up here, the better it is for UTSA and UTSA athletics.
Yeah, did you have something to add?
No, I just couldn't agree more. I think everybody in the audience or watching, we're always competing for talent across the country. We compete for talent locally, and the opportunity to leverage each other's successes is I think something that we're all realizing and working on together.
Now, I would just add, as Bobby was speaking, I mean, where else in the United States are NBA players coming to a Division I basketball game? Last year, hopefully this year, we had even coming to our football games, and that's really, really special to our student athletes, to our students. It helps recruit the best, not only our student athletes, but our best coaches. It helps retain our best coaches when there's these partnerships. This weekend with the tennis tournament happening, we've already had some of those folks on our campus interacting with our tennis programs. I mean, it's just really unbelievable, and it's because of these partnerships and these relationships.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about how sports can bring a community together. Part of that involves facilities and placemaking. Bob, the Missions ownership, has made no secret about its desire for a downtown ballpark. When we talked last week, you said a downtown minor league ballpark should be the summertime front porch of a community. Can you talk about how such a facility serves a placemaking role?
Absolutely. Minor league baseball and a minor league ballpark is a community gathering place. And if you go around to various minor league ballparks around the country, you see, just like you would here, families there. All generations can enjoy a night at the ballpark. There's nothing like a night at the ballpark. What we want to do is make sure that we keep adding to that and put together a facility and a night at the ballpark and a nightly experience that is second to none. Sports facilities can be transformative to an area. We've talked a lot about being downtown or in the central business district or someplace that's centrally located in the city. When our vision is that a ballpark can be on par with what Hemisphere was, what the Alamo Dome is, what the commercialization of the Riverwalk was, the consolidation of the historic Missions. That's what a ballpark can be, and it can stand for generations. So it really is, like you say, a placemaking opportunity for us, and that's our vision. We want to be able to stimulate economic growth, activity, whether it's downtown or near downtown. Downtowns aren't just a place to work, they're a place to have fun. And so while we have some great attributes in our city, there's no question about that, we have an opportunity to really do better, and that's where we see our facility coming into play.
City Manager Eric Walsh kicked off City Fest by talking about how the city can make improvements to the district, including the Convention Center, Hemisphere, and the Alamo Dome. Is that an area the missions are eyeing?
Putting together a stadium is a complex topic. And to say the least. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes. We're looking at financial models, funding models, economic impact analysis. Obviously, we're thinking about different options for locations. We've designed features. We've been to a lot of ballparks. There's a lot going into this. And as we said from the outset, our goal is to have a fully developed plan, and when we have that fully developed plan, we can share it with everybody. But until we pull that all together, we're not ready to talk about those kind of things. But believe me, there's a lot of work going on in the background, and we want to do what's best for San Antonio, best for our community, city, county. Certainly, we'll do our part. But the goal is to really do the best possible job for everybody involved, so that we can have a facility we're proud of for generations to come.
Bobby, from the Spurs perspective, is there anything you can share about the team's future venue needs?
You know what? Bob said it well. Here's what I'll share with you guys. And as we talk about, your initial prompt, right, of placemaking opportunities. When we first started developing the Rocket La Cantera, we talked about how can our brand do things that are just not basketball related. And in sitting down with our public partners, city, county, we talked about this site, this corner at 1604 and I-10, and we saw that as a placemaking opportunity for trying to determine how can professional sport, how can a brand like ours amplify some of the needs of our community. And so as we looked at that very specific activity of human factors, performance under pressure, that cross-termination, if you think the industrial athlete, if you think the soldier athlete, and we have that right here in our community, the Department of Defense, Toyota Manufacturing, the first responders, it's something that resonated. And so fast forward to today, in partnerships with our universities and our healthcare entities, and I think what you're going to see is that opportunity to pollinate some technology and transfer that technology to some of those workforces. And it's something that no one else is doing in the United States, certainly not on the NBA side, NFL side, or NBA side. But when we look at placemaking, that's the type of things we're talking about. And then the fun part, the byproduct of the 2-acre outdoor plaza with restaurants and kiosks and water pads and all those things that we like to visit is part of that placemaking piece. Not to mention the connectivity to the 130-mile trail system that our community has to offer. So those are the type of placemaking things we get excited about.
I'd like to ask all of you this one because I think it's really important. San Antonio has more poverty than any other major city. So when families decide to kind of vote with their pocketbooks of what they would like to attend in terms of sports events, it means something. It has some impact. And so I'd like to talk to each of you about, San Antonio FC being a little bit more affordable, missions tickets being a little bit more affordable. What are each of you doing in terms of affordability to get people to your events across the city? And we'll start with Jenny, and we'll kind of go down the road.
That's a good question. And we provide a lot of events for this community that kind of run the spectrum. And Lisa already mentioned we have an international tennis tournament coming up this weekend. It's going to be next door at the Freeman with affordable tickets, working with the Texas Tennis High School Association to bring kids from all over the state in a very affordable way. We host the high school, San Antonio Sports High School football game that follows the All-American Bowl at the Alamo Dome every January. 80,000 free tickets in the community. We want our community to come out and see these kids excel and be showcased and spotlighted. We do free community programs year-round for San Antonio. So it's not just about the big, shiny, sexy events like the Final Four. We are constantly looking to bring events to provide opportunities, not only to participate in for San Antonio, but to come out and watch and establish, a legacy for our youth. So we do a great job at San Antonio Sports of providing affordable entertainment and programming.
Bob, do you want to jump on that one?
Sure. The missions may have the advantage on this one because minor league baseball is affordable family fun. It's always been that way. It will continue to be. We focus on delivering great value. There's you know, when you play 6 nights a week on a homestand, you're going to have an assortment of choices to make in terms of coming out to the ballpark. There's always going to be a value night. There's going to be giveaways. There's going to be a lot of entertainment, fireworks, drone shows, you know, jersey giveaways, you name it. So we're focused on making sure that families are entertained in an affordable way at our ball games. And, you know, we did in-season surveys this year. We feel like we're doing well in that regard, and we'll keep focusing on it. Our goal is to make sure that when people leave the ballpark at night, they've had a great time. Most of them have no clue who won the game. That's really not what it's about in minor league sports. It's really about a family night out, a night at the ballpark. So we're constantly focused on making sure that people can have a great time and it's affordable.
Yeah, so I'm so fortunate to work in higher ed, and it goes even beyond the arena, right? That we are so committed, and thanks to support from the city and from Bexar County, to not just bringing kids of San Antonio and Bexar County to our sporting events, but we're bringing them onto campus to interact with our student athletes, to visit our facilities, to understand, you know, the opportunity for higher education. That's always going to be my passion. If anyone's heard me speak, I'm a first-generation college graduate. I will forever have passion for access to higher education, and so we build that in our athletics program and in our facilities that we have on campus. In terms of affordability for our games, you know, we're so blessed. We have a ticket program that, you know, Harvey Najum and Brad Belden and Pat Frost and others have contributed to, and we continue to get contributions where they purchase these tickets, and then we have a system where we get those out to the youth so that they can, particularly for football games, that they have an opportunity and access to these types of games. Same thing on campus for volleyball, basketball, all those sorts of things. But again, just we're so fortunate to live in a community where people see that need and are willing to help us get those kids into these sporting events.
I think everybody at the table has kind of hit it pretty well. I think for us, we're an impact-driven organization, and focusing on those needs, not only at the event. San Antonio FC is a great example. This year, from a league-wide basis, we maybe finished number 3 in the league on attendance, and that's really exciting. It's an affordable product, but being an impact-driven, focused organization, we try to expand that a little bit. So I think what you'll see, you know, and recently, whether it's branding courts in our region, we're going to open one up in Monterrey, Mexico, not too far from now. You'll see them come across up and down the corridor. We just announced a G League game, and we had a very successful one in Laredo, Texas, first time ever last year. We're going to do it in Corpus Christi, Texas. Another opportunity. That G League team home is in Cedar Park, has been for 15, 16 years. But finding those opportunities where we can get out to the community, get out to the fans, something that's more affordable, but at all levels, youth sports, pro sports, and even with our partner at Star Soccer Complex, which is the Lone Star Academy. Also a lot of fun and a lot of things that they're doing out there in women's sports and working with SA Sports. I think we're going to have some really fun announcements that will happen for the community in the coming month out at Toyota Field. So lots of opportunity for families.
Bobby, speaking of the San Antonio Football Club, what kind of growth are you seeing in its fan base following last year's league championship? And how will the TV deal announced this week with CBS benefit the team and USL soccer?
Great question. I think everybody on the table would share with team performance. Lots of excitement comes. You generate lots of business. And so this was the 4th year that we broke for the playoffs. Coach Marcin has done a great job. The roster's fantastic, a mix of some local athletes, people that, young men that grew up in our communities or playing soccer on our teams. And so from a driver's side, winning the USL championship last season was wonderful. Toyota renewed their naming rights agreement. Our team's marketing a kit sponsorship. We're hoping for a local sponsor, around the corner here. And unfortunately, we got knocked out weekend before last. And so with that, opportunity, we'll kind of reset and hopefully get back on that path to performing at a high level, being in the playoffs, and maybe winning another championship, which results in great revenue.
Yeah. Jenny, can you hop in on that? Your organization has a focus on fostering healthy kids and families through sports. Is there a connection between going to a soccer game or a UTSA basketball game and wanting to be active and participate in sports?
Absolutely, there is. That's an easy answer for me. I'm a product of that, to believe it or not. Our after-school program, I Play After School, we're in about 60 Title I elementary schools across 5 school districts in this county. And the mission behind that program is to give our kids a chance to play club sports that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity. We outfit them, we give them brand new tennis shoes, but also opening doors for them to come to an XFL game, come to a UTSA football game, have just a chance to see these athletes in action. Every time we host an NCAA Final Four or a big event, we try to figure out what is the community connection. How can we provide an opportunity for our kids to see these major athletes or these student athletes, to give them a vision that they can go on to higher ed, right? And that's what it's all about. Lisa hit it. You might also find a kid that gets a free basketball or a free whatever clinic, camp that we're hosting, that ball might change the course of their life. I am that product. It was a basketball given to me at a camp when I was about 6 years old, and it set me on a path that basketball has led me to where I am today. So finding ways that we can partner with not just the group up here, but everybody in this community to provide those opportunities is really at the heart of our mission.
Lisa, I'm going to ask you about UTSA students just voted down an increase in the athletics fee, but this week the Ed Whitaker family made a gift to the university that includes $500,000 toward a new basketball and volleyball training facility. What is your pitch to students and others about why it's important to invest in athletics?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, it's investing in our future. Our student athletes are the future. They're our future leadership, and so it's investing in higher education. It's investing in scholarships. But then the intangible, right? It's investing in a brand. It's investing in exposure. It's hard for 18 to 22-year-olds who are making that boat kind of wrap their mind around what this will do, how it will add value to their degree because they're in the midst of it. But that's really, we always talk about it, our president talks about it, that athletics is the front porch of our university. This is what's helping grow enrollment, bring visibility, bring brand recognition to UTSA, and all that's really important. We also talk with students that when we all know the research shows it, when you're engaged on campus, you're more likely to be retained, you're more likely to graduate, and you're going to be an active alum, and that's great for everybody in this city. So those are that's the value of intercollegiate athletics.
Now, in all but a very few places around the country, getting projects like a minor league baseball stadium or a practice facility built involves public money, and residents and voters can be skeptical about who really benefits. Bobby, the city and the county both contributed funding for the Rock. Can you talk about what return San Antonians and Bexar County residents will see on their investment in that complex?
Good question. I think maybe hitting that a little bit a moment ago, the opportunity there was twofold. One, in our deal with the county, what happened there was a new 20-acre park. And so part of that transaction, the $15 million county contribution, was a brand new community park that opened this summer, largest dog park in the county. I don't know how many dogs that means, but but it's a lot of fun. It's active. It's open and has been pretty crowded on the way through. The other piece is we're required to maintain all that 25 acres, and so making sure that walkway and that path and that bike path is maintained, so you have that new facility there for the community. The other part is our plaza, and so the plaza is open to the public. It's open year-round starting Sunday, and I think that's the other community amenity. Then the balance is yet to be solved, but active in process is what does that transition of technology or information and the things that SWRI are working on with UT Health Science Center right now, I think we'll see some of that byproduct in the future. So we're excited about it, and hopefully what we'll see in the future is thought leaders from all over the world coming to solve some of those human factor issues on the health side, the mental health side, and all the way through. So yet to be solved, but we're looking forward to it.
Lisa, I'll ask you the same question about the Park West Field House and Race facilities, which both received public funding. How do you explain the return on investment in those?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I talked about a little bit ago is that we really made a commitment to allowing the community to utilize those facilities in a scheduled, organized way, right? That we are working with different youth organizations. We're bringing students on, particularly youth, into those facilities so that they can learn more about higher ed, about opportunities to, and we know the research shows that when a student, when I say student, a 5, 6, 7-year-old feels it, touches it, is actually on a college campus, it increases their odds of attending higher education. So those are, and selfishly, hopefully UTSA, but it's that exposure, right? And then of course we've allowed or worked with other organizations to open up those facilities. So that was our commitment, and we're so, and then just the sporting events too. We focus so much on the youth, but we also forget that we have summer camps for youth. Coach Traylor does an amazing job of targeting those, working with San Antonio Sports, or that mission is targeting those that may not be able to pay for a camp, and how he brings those youth to campus to do a free clinic and a free camp, and our other coaches do the same thing. We also have an opportunity to host really neat events there for international events to national events particularly in our soccer facility. So a lot of opportunity, whether it's helping economic impact, or whether it's, again, living up to our commitment to bringing exposure to higher education to San Antonio and Bexar County.
Bob, do you anticipate having to ask taxpayers to invest in the missions anytime soon?
Well, we don't yet know all that, like I said earlier, but I'll tell you this, that whenever this conversation comes up in any market in America, you get the same line of questioning. I think it's important to recognize that facilities aren't just for here and now, they're for generations if you do them right. And our vision is to do something that's really transformative, that can be enjoyed year round. It's a venue that isn't just for baseball, it's for all kinds of events, graduations, concerts, festivals, you name it. And with that in mind, we're talking about something that can stand the test of time, that can stimulate job growth in an area, that has economic impact, where development can happen around it. When you're talking about a facility the size of a baseball stadium, you're really talking about something that has a lot of contours that go out from it, and that's really what it's about, and that's what we're focused on. So I would encourage anyone that's thinking along these lines to understand that what we're talking about is not just for now, it's for generations, and it's going to be a facility, hopefully, that when it's finished and when we get it done, it's going to be something that people are very proud of, and we look back on like we do all the other attributes I talked about earlier and say, boy, I'm glad we did that, and look what it's done for our city.
Jenny, the city has continued to spend money on renovations for the Alamo Dome so that San Antonio can successfully bid for events like the Final Four. In the latest round of NCAA selections, San Antonio was not selected. Did you get any feedback from the NCAA about why?
We actually did, and that was a one-off year. It wasn't a full hosting cycle. So for 2031 is what she's talking about. We put in a strong competitive bid for San Antonio, and we were turned down, unfortunately, even with our reputation and the success that we've had here. And the main reason, the sole reason why, is that we don't yet have a plan for what the future of the Alamo Dome is, beyond the $22 million of projects that are set to start, to prepare for 2025. And we talked a lot about, baseball stadiums downtown, the future of the Spurs, but the other part of that conversation right now is the future of the Dome. And I don't want to overlook the success of the last 30 years. The Dome, Alamo Dome bosses are here. They've celebrated their 30th last year, and they are having the most success ever in the history of that building right now. 135 plus event days a year, which makes us the busiest dome facility in the country, is incredible. But what does the next 30 years look like? And to remain competitive, especially in the NCAA space, or to get into the CFP space, we've got to think bigger as a city. Eric Walsh was quoted just the other day about what that looks like, and to knowing that the city needs to think bigger for the future of the building and to remain competitive, not just in the sports world, but concerts and other events. And we do a lot more than NCAA championships, and we'd love to bring a lot more to the Alamo Dome.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah.
Sorry. I would like to tack on one other additional comment to the question you asked that I commented on just a moment ago, and that is that our ownership group is committed to doing our part on whatever blending of funding comes into the picture. We have a clear vision of what we want this facility to be for San Antonio. We expect to do our part, and like I said earlier, when we have all that plan sorted out, we will roll it out and make it clear, what our vision is.
We'll go down the row again, and we'll start with Bobby. But sports teams, sports success significantly contribute to a city's sense of self. At this moment in sports, what needs to happen to take the momentum that we're seeing and capitalize on it for the growth and prosperity of our city?
I think first and foremost is collaboration, conversation. I think the things that are happening right now, it's great for the community. Many of us that are monitoring or watching this can probably remember where you were on a given Spurs championship night. Some of us that grew up here, like myself, I'm dating myself, but I remember watching ABA games. I remember walking into the Hemisphere Convention Center Arena as a child. I remember getting a little older and trying to sneak into the Hemisphere Convention Center. And so it transcends time and people and generations. And I think as a community, we're always talking about, I can't disagree with anything that anyone said, just the future opportunity of where we're going as a community and how we're preparing each other, ourselves, our organizations. We're all just stewards just for that next cycle. It's going to be fun and it's going to be exciting, and the conversation's going to be engaging and wonderful, and some days hard and some days fun.
So from a UTSA perspective, we just have incredible momentum right now, not just as an athletics program, but as an entire institution. And it's hard to get that momentum, but we have it. It's so easy to lose it. So we have to continue having this grand vision about what UTSA is going to look like, what UTSA athletics aspires to be. And it's going to be, again, these partnerships. It's going to continue to be the Ed Whitakers of the world who invest and see the value and the vision that we have for our great institution and our great athletics program. So I would just encourage everyone to continue having that big, bold vision about what we can be, what we aspire to be.
Go ahead.
Congratulations on that donation, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, Bob, can you speak to the momentum that you guys are seeing and how to make sure that that benefits the city for years to come?
Well, as I said earlier, the having a professional baseball franchise that's affiliated with Major League Baseball is crucial, and the franchise has been here since 1888. We definitely want to continue that. The first huge step was to get the ball club under local ownership, which we've done, and that enables us to have some agility to actually continue to work on that goal. Major League Baseball wants to be in San Antonio. Major League Baseball as the governing organization over minor league baseball, that is to say. Again, we're the largest market in minor league sports, and we want to continue that momentum and be here for, people need an outlet, they need an escape, and minor league baseball is definitely that. And we plan on playing a huge role in the sports landscape of San Antonio for generations to come.
Go ahead, Jenny, on keeping the momentum of this moment.
Well, we couldn't agree more with everybody up here. We're at a very pivotal time in our city, and we all need to capture the moment, seize the day, right? And I think we are all on the right path to doing so. And just as Bob said, and Bobby said, we're stewards right now, but setting up the next generations for what this can be in the future. And I said it a minute ago, but a lot of times in the past, San Antonio hasn't thought big enough, and it's time to think big for all of us. And working together, I feel like we're going to get there, and it is our moment.
Just because I'm curious, and I'll throw this to whoever's interested, but have you seen more interest from the corporate kind of fan sports space in what each of you are doing in recent years? Has San Antonio's corporate base always been involved? I know the corporate base here is smaller than like a Dallas-Fort Worth. What is that dynamic like for each of your organizations? Easy for you, Bobby.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. We've got wonderful supporters and partners. And this building is a great example of Frost Bank being on our jersey one year, naming our plaza this year, naming this building this year. And here's what I think that we've learned, that 30th, 29th smallest market in the NBA. And so our competitors for talent, for continuity, are those other 29 cities and those 29 markets. And so that is the discussion that we have been having probably since 2018, 2019. How do we take advantage of the regional growth and hopefully expanding that opportunity as we watch some of our great companies in our city do? H-E-B is a great example. Whataburger, a great example, how they've expanded not only in Texas, but in different parts of the U.S. And so maybe learning from them and showcasing San Antonio, not just for the basketball side, but for the culture, for the people, for the excitement, for the vibrance of our community. Because as everybody in this group knows, once you come to San Antonio, you just don't leave. And so really captivating on that.
Yeah, winning cures, right? So real honestly, I mean, we had, I've only been here for about 5.5 years, of course, starting football program, really involved community, corporations. But I'll tell you that in the last few years, as we hired Jeff Traylor and we won conference championships, we went from having half the suites sold to now having a waiting list for our suites. We've grown our corporate sponsorship base. We've continued to lead, in the last few years, Conference USA in attendance. We're about 4th right now in the American. And again, we're competing with schools that have had football for hundreds of years. And so I just cannot be more appreciative and grateful to San Antonio, because it is, they're getting behind UTSA athletics, definitely behind Coach Traylor, and that's what it's going to take. If we want to continue elevating this athletics program, it's going to take everyone. And I love when Jeff talks about it, whether it's a tweet, whether it's a donation, whether it's buying a suite, whether it's helping us build a facility, that everyone in San Antonio, we're in the 7th largest city in the nation, that there's an opportunity for everybody in San Antonio to help put UTSA on the national map. And we've seen that. We've been national ranked in tennis programs, nationally ranked in baseball, nationally ranked in football. But it's because of everyone's support that's helping us recruit the best student athletes, and as importantly, recruit and retain the Jeff Traylors of the world. We have Karen Aston, who's the 2nd winningest coach at Texas women's basketball. She is our head women's basketball coach. We need to get behind her. She feels the love from San Antonio, but for her, her student athletes to have a packed arena, to be playing in front of San Antonio, that matters to recruits, to our current student athletes, and it matters to the coaches that we're wanting to retain here at UTSA.
Bob and Jenny, do you have anything to add?
I would just say that one thing that's nice about minor league baseball is that no one's really looking at the standings. The one-loss record is way down the list. People don't really care. I mean, we made the playoffs this year, got a couple extra home dates, eliminated in the first round, and the team that eliminated us won the crown. And the Missions have won several crowns in the past, but really we felt a lift in terms of corporate support and enthusiasm for what we're doing, particularly with our new local ownership group. Our job is to use our venue and use our creativity to activate brands and get people associated with the Missions and having a night where they can create a memory. It's really not about, you're right, at least the winning does cure things, but fortunately we're insulated from that in minor league baseball. It's about having a good time, and we're definitely getting support for the things we're doing and the way we're looking ahead and keeping the momentum going.
I too don't have to worry about wins and losses, which is really nice compared to the other half of the table up here. We have very strong corporate partnerships within the San Antonio community. There's a few in the room today. I think our supporters, our sponsors, they see the value in investing in our kids and giving them opportunities. The vision behind our mission is healthy kids and families, places to play, and events that impact. And they also see the value of investing in fitness and wellness opportunities for our citizens, and of course bringing these events to San Antonio that drive economic impact for sports tourism. And so, and another thing we're seeing really increase year after year is high school athletes and our sponsors investing in high school student athletes. I mentioned it earlier, but our high school All-American game football and our local and area football game, we're expanding that into a series and giving, through our sponsorship support, giving these seniors around the area a chance to be celebrated and give them one last chance to be seen by college recruits and get an opportunity to go on and play at the next level. So I'm very grateful to the corporate community here and how they back San Antonio sports.
I think what all of us up here can control most easily is the fan experience. And so, win or lose, you can have a great time at the event, and that's what all of these folks up here with us today do a great job of that. And if we focus on a great fan experience, and if you lose the game or win the game, they go away having a good time and want to come back. That's really what enhances your brand, is what kind of night or day they're having at the event.
Well, we're almost out of time, but Bob, you did mention before the panel that you also are on the board of the Valero Alamo Bowl, which we haven't talked about yet tonight. So are there any updates there you'd like to give us?
Well, we're down to it the last few weeks of the season, and it always comes down to this. There's quite a scrap going on in the two conferences that we're affiliated with, the Pac-12 and the Big 12, in terms of who could possibly play here. And of course, in the Big 12, we have the first pick after the CFP is slotted in. Pac-12, same thing after the CFP is selected. So we've got a lot of great choices, and there's a lot of good teams and a lot of good players in these conferences. And after all these years of putting on a great show and a great night, I'm sure we're going to have a good one. But stay tuned. A lot of action happens in the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season, that's for sure, as the conferences sort themselves out.
Awesome. I think the case has been made tonight that community and sports are very closely intertwined. So I would ask each of you to finish up with answering a question, dream a little bit with me. Where do you think your organization and therefore the community will be in 5 years that they aren't today? Bobby?
I drew the short straw. Let me think about
That's
this
what
for a
happens
moment.
when you sit in the first seat.
I don't know if you guys noticed, this is a chair they left me. I need to pay a little bit more attention. I think as we dream, as individuals and members of the different places that we reside in, that we partner with, I think we're just always dreaming for that, doing the next right thing, and doing the next right thing, for yourself, for your community, for your family. And I think that kind of lines up with our organizational values, thinking about being a caring individual, do it with integrity, and hopefully that'll breed success. And so that's what I'd ask you guys to join us in as an organization. Just dream about the opportunity for our community to just do the next right thing and do it in the right way.
And world champs. So again, our aspirational vision is really to again transform lives as San Antonio's nationally recognized Division I program, and that's what we're going to continue to aspire to. And given the changing CFP and given the changing dynamics of intercollegiate athletics, we do envision playing in that playoff. There is great opportunity the way it is set up that our football team, being in the American, having that success, and there's no reason we can't be a Houston, a Cincinnati, a UCF who just went from the American to the Big 12. That's our aspirations, is to be at the highest level in intercollegiate athletics.
As I alluded to earlier, this is a major metro market, and minor league baseball here has a role to play. Our vision is clear. We want to be best in class. When we get the right facility, we have the elements in place to be something that everybody is very proud of, and ranks right at the top of minor league sports, being one of the best franchises. We want people to look back and say, when we hopefully get ourselves into a new facility, wasn't that a great idea? I'm glad that the city and everybody pulled together, the community, the citizens pulled together, and rooted on the missions to do the best job they could possibly do. We want everybody to enjoy the product and to be proud of having a first-class minor league baseball facility in San Antonio and affiliated with Major League Baseball.
all four of us are sitting up here because we truly believe in the transformational power of sport. And I think the vision I see for our organization over the next 5 years, in November of last year, we surpassed the $1 billion mark of economic impact that we've brought to this community. We're going to continue to add to that number. But more importantly, and now more than ever, it's creating opportunities that positively affect our kids. That is so critical right now. And so we're going to continue to do all that we can, the ways that we can do it at San Antonio Sports. And then almost as importantly is making this city a healthier place and our citizens healthier. So that is always our vision. We're going to continue pushing forward and doing a better job at it.
Well, each of our panelists has been so generous with their time today. The Spurs have been so generous to host us in this wonderful space. So please give it up for our panelists and the conversation. I'm going to invite back up our publisher, Angie Malk, to close this out. And City Fest 2023 is almost over. We have 2 more panels tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Tomorrow we have a conversation on equity and how to grow responsibly as a city like San Antonio. And then the afternoon panel is education. Yes.
Thank you, Lee. A special thank you to Bobby. When I called him about doing this, he tried to talk me out of it, but here we are. So thank you, Spurs. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, panelists. This was so exciting and so interesting, and we may not ever be able to do it again for a while, but it sure was fun, and we appreciate you all being here. We're so grateful to our presenting sponsor, the City of San Antonio, our engagement sponsor, Bexar County, and also Shiner Beer, who sponsors the City Fest, along with many, many other sponsors that make civic engagement like this happen for all of San Antonio. So thank you, and I think it's time for a happy hour.